911, your call is recorded. What's the address of your emergency?
Today I'm reacting to some body cam footage out of Florida of a DUI arrest. From the title to the video, it appears it's a college student who may have had some past troubles with the law. The title is Underage College Student Arrested for DUI, begs to not go to jail for a second time. Now, I haven't seen this video before, so I have no idea what's inside of it. You're getting my honest, real-time reactions to the video. I'll break down what the police may have done right or done wrong, what the student may have done right or have done wrong, and I'll give you some advice along the way about what you might be able to do if you're ever in this situation. All right, so let's get into it and watch the video.
They almost constructed her bad. I saw that.
Is my door open back here?
Yeah, it should.
Yeah, that's what she did.
Did I tell her that?
Huh?
Did I say that to her?
Yeah.
Okay.
I drink.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. My name is Corporal Proud of the Police Department. Do you know what's happening tonight?
Because I ran a red signal.
Because you ran a bicycle? Is that what he says?
I ran a red light.
No. So you were back on Lake Pickett. You were on the wrong side of the road.
All right, I'm going to stop the video here and pause for a second. This seems like a pretty normal stop for a drunk driving case, or for, quite frankly, any motor vehicle stop. Seems like she's pulled over the side of the road just fine. And she did something smart here, which was to have her license registration ready for the officer. Many times what the police are looking for, particularly in a drunk driving arrest, what they believe to be a drunk driving arrest, is whether or not someone is able to locate the license and the registration, or they provide the officer with the wrong document. I think she did a good job here. I think he's going to try and say that, you know, he can't understand what she said when he asked her why he was pulling her over. So I do think that will end up in the report as something that's going to be negative towards her. But so far so good. I think she's actually done some things correctly, but let's just see what's going on here.
You almost struck the curb numerous times. You were going 15 miles. Yes, you were going 15 miles over the speed limit. And then when you made that left-hand turn, you almost ran off the road over here. Where are you coming from tonight?
Downtown.
Downtown?
My shift.
Shift? Where do you work at?
Room 22.
All right, I'm also going to stop there once more, because now we're hearing more about why she's being pulled over. It's not just for not stopping at a red light or a stop sign or a signal. He laid out a number of things, almost hitting the curb and this and that, which really shows that maybe he at least believes that she's probably impaired, as opposed to just a typical traffic violation. So he's quickly letting her know that he thinks her driving wasn't so good. Now he's asking her where she's coming from, which could be problematic for her. But let's get back into it and see just what she says and does.
Okay. And where are you headed to?
Right here.
You live in Night Circle?
Yes.
You go to UCF?
Yes.
Hey, how much you had to drink tonight?
One drink.
What were you drinking tonight?
Vodka.
In vodka? Okay, how big was the vodka?
Not big at all.
Not big at all? All right.
I'm going to pause the video right here again. He's clearly thinking that she's under the influence at this point in time. He's not just asking her, has she had something to drink tonight, but what has she had to drink tonight? How many? How big was the vodka? She says, well, I only had one drink, so okay. But how big was it? You know, it's not like a beer that would typically come in either a 16 or 12 or 23 ounce cup. This is, vodka, which could be mixed, could be strong, could be a large drink. So he's really getting aggressive with these questions about what she's had to drink, where she's coming from. He clearly thinks she's under the influence, and he's not being shy about it in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to suggest here that everybody listen up and listen up closely. You don't want to say too much in this situation. Less is more. Okay, so she's not too talkative so far, which is good, but less is more. Really important to observe that rule here and just say as little as possible. You have every right to remain silent, and most people should exercise it and don't. All right, let's get back to this.
Ask me right now.
Okay, well, I'm not worried about drugs, okay?
Or breathalyze.
Okay, well, that doesn't work that way, okay? So let me have your vehicle registration, proof of insurance, please, okay? Delta 21. Can I have Delta 22 come over here, please?
Delta 22 copy. Report. For 3, Sugar Day on the floor.
I'm going to pause it right there again, and I'm going to suggest that she's done something correct here. Part of what police are looking for is how quickly the person can produce the documents. They're asking for, in this case, she already gave him her license, so he's asking for proof of insurance and registration. Here in Massachusetts, we just have the registration. Proof of insurance is essentially on that document. So in Mass, we'd only ask for the single document for the registration. But in this case, it seems like she was able to get it pretty quickly, produce it to him. She's not fumbling or dropping it. She didn't seem to have a hard time retrieving it. And these are all cues that the officer would be looking for in a drunk driving arrest. If she had been doing those things, fumbling or dropping or unable to find them, that's going to go against her in any type of a drunk driving case or trial going forward. So far, I'm not feeling too bad about it. She doesn't sound like she's slurring her words or anything like that. She's producing documentation. She's responding to the officer's questions, and she's not too talkative, which I think is great. So let's get back into it and see just what else she's doing.
Sister, current address here in Orlando off of Indian Gap Drive?
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
Olivia, you're right.
Okay. Where's Indian Gap Drive?
Indian Gap Drive is at Cedar and Gatlin Boulevard.
Okay.
Right next to the, right next to it. I've lived there for about 6 years.
Okay. Okay, Olivia, let me have the fake ID.
All right, this just got real for Olivia. The officer sees as she's going through her purse, he sees her fake ID or sees what he thinks is a fake ID, and he's demanding that she produce it to him. Under these circumstances, I certainly wouldn't voluntarily produce it. However, you really can't get in a fight with the officer there at roadside either. Not really sure what she was doing digging through the purse. I'm sure he's going to say that she couldn't find something or whatnot. He'd also asked her where she lives and where that was, and she was able to describe it pretty good. So as far as a drunk driving arrest, I don't think so far this case is going to be that bad for Olivia, at least not what we're seeing so far. That obviously could change if she were to get out of the car, be off balance, start slurring her speech. And I will say that alcohol, it's different people at different times in different ways. So she may have just had her drink and she's on her way up as far as the blood alcohol level is just hitting her system. So it's certainly possible that it gets worse from here, but I guess we're going to find out.
No, the one that was in your purse. Yeah, that one. Let me have it.
Please do not.
Olivia.
Please do not charge me with this.
Olivia, give me the fake ID.
I've already been.
Olivia, give me the fake ID.
Been.
Thank you. You've been what?
To jail, and I don't belong there, and I won't do anything
what'd you go to jail
stay
for?
out of it.
Okay, what'd you go to jail for? I don't need your credit cards.
Following too close.
You went to jail for following too closely? That's not an arrestable offense. So what
I went there for it, and I'm really scared.
what were you charged with?
Burglary of an occupant conveyance when I was just using self-defense, and it was dropped before it even made the state's attorney's office.
I don't need your credit cards.
So what do
Okay.
you need from me?
All right, I'm going to stop it right here again. Olivia is obviously in greater trouble now that she is given this fake ID, and she's starting to get upset because the officer is, telling her, essentially telling her, give me the fake ID, demanding the fake ID from her, which, she was able to provide him. And again, going back to sort of that idea of someone who is fumbling or dropping or is clumsy in some way due to alcohol intoxication. She's gonna have to contend with the issues relative to any criminal offense that comes with a fake ID. But so far so good on as far as drunk driving goes. The police will probably say, well, she's having mood swings and she's crying and things like that to try and make it worse for her on the drunk driving. But under the circumstances, she's a college kid. She's upset. If this is in court, I think we can do a lot with that as to at least a drunk driving charge. The fake ID, that's a whole separate issue, but it's a little bit less of an offense, I would think, certainly in Massachusetts, than the drunk driving itself. So let's get back to it.
Step out of the vehicle. Okay, come stand right in front of my car right there. Delta 21.
Delta 21.
Signal 1 investigation.
Cedar, please.
Delta 20, you have the deal?
All right, Olivia. What?
All right, and I'm going to stop that right there again because he's obviously believes she's under the influence based on her earlier admissions to having alcohol, having vodka, that one drink of vodka. However, there's very little else at this point that we can detect on the video. I'm sure she smells of alcohol. That's why he asked in the first place. So that'll end up in the report that she smelled of alcohol, an odor of alcohol emanating from her breath or from the vehicle. And then he asked her to step out of the car. And another thing that the police officers are looking for when they ask them to step out of the car is how do they step out of the car? Do they have any difficulty opening the door? Or do they try to come out a weird way, like through the window or through the passenger side door? Were they able to walk and follow the officer's instructions to walk to the back of the car? These are things that we look for as criminal defense attorneys, and because we know the officers are looking for those, because if the person does those things correctly, that actually bodes in your favor relative to a drunk driving investigation. And so we'll see. My guess is he's probably going to ask her to do a series of field sobriety tests or something like that, and we'll see how she does on those.
Hands.
Negative.
Okay, we don't need these. I'm going to put these back in your car.
Five out of Florida.
Go ahead.
Uniform. 620.
Listen, sir, I was just trying to rush home from red light right there at where I was supposed to use the restroom, and I really have to use the restroom, so whatever you need to do.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm very concerned that you shouldn't be operating a vehicle, and I'm concerned that you're operating a vehicle in the state of Florida.
I'm going to pause it again right there. Now we get a chance to see her standing outside the vehicle, unassisted. She's not holding on to anything for balance. I don't see her swaying or moving or otherwise off balance in any way, shape, or form. Again, so far so good for Olivia in this video. She doesn't sound slurred to me. I said that before. She's not swaying. She had no problems balancing, getting out of the vehicle. So far so good. I really, so far I'm not really seeing a good case for the police as far as drunk driving. Said that fake ID aside. So far, so good for Olivia. Let's see how this continues to go, though.
Orange in the jurisdictional limits of the University of Central Florida while your normal faculties are impaired by a chemical or controlled substance. Okay. Do you have any problems participating in the standardized field sobriety exercises for me?
No, sir.
Are you under the care of a doctor or a dentist?
No.
Okay, are you diabetic or epileptic?
I have panic disorder.
You have panic disorder? Okay,
Yes.
do you take medication for that?
Yes.
What do you take?
I take a 5 milligram tablet, and I take a 10 milligram tablet of bethindrone.
So you take 15 milligrams of that one drug?
10 milligrams twice a day, 5 milligrams total. Twice a day.
Okay,
one
so
in the morning,
you
one at
take
night.
2 5-milligram tablets,
Correct.
totaling 10 milligrams. Okay, is that the only kind of prescription you're on?
And a 5 milligram tablet of a medical.
All right, I'm going to stop that right there again. At this point in time, it does appear that the officer is he's going to run it through field sobriety tests, and what he's doing ahead of time, he is asking her about medical. First of all, he actually told her why. He was very formal about it, telling her that he believes she's under the influence within this jurisdiction, and he wants to ask her to field sobriety test, and actually asking her if she's willing to do those. And that's actually a pretty good way. So far, I think he's following procedure pretty well there. He's also following procedure and asking if she suffers from any medical conditions, right? He's going through, hey, do you have any medical conditions? And the reason for that is some people who are on certain medications or have other medical conditions, some people who are older or overweight shouldn't be doing these tests. If you look at the field sobriety test manual, it will say right in there, there are certain things that you shouldn't be doing this. He's asking about diabetes because many times people who are diabetic or having different reactions to blood sugar and things like that, it can look like or mimic intoxication. He's asking about other medications that might also mimic some form of intoxication or cause balance issues and things like that. So he's going through the list of things. I'm imagining if he hasn't already, he asks about injuries or medical conditions in general, but oftentimes I'll ask you, have any problems with your legs or ankles or hips or things like that, or other problems with balance. Some people suffer from vertigo, which might also cause an balance to be off. In this case, he's gone through the list, it seems like, and it seems like she's actually doing very well, though. Again, I don't detect any slurring. I don't see any swaying in her body posture. She's able to answer these questions effectively relative to what she's taking, specific doses. I think she fumbled one of the names of the medications there, but, honestly, the way they name these things, I'm not so surprised. I probably would have had a hard time with it, and I think many people would as well. Next.
Well, how do I describe it? Muscular.
Go ahead with it.
8001.
What's it for?
Muscular. It's for endometriosis.
For endometriosis. Okay. All right. Other than those two pills, are you on any other medications?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you have any physical defects? Glass eyes, artificial limbs, anything like that?
ITP.
What is ITP?
Idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura.
All right, so he is asking about, any problems with your legs, artificial limbs, things like that. And so now she's talking about some other medications that she's having. So let's see what she has to say there.
Okay, can you tell me what that is? Can you explain it
It's
to me?
bruising easily, which means 50,000 counts of platelets to 100,000 counts of platelets is a normal person's range.
Okay.
150 to 200,000 is a normal person's range.
Okay, so you bruise very easily.
Very easily.
Okay.
And I bleed very
And you
easily.
bleed too? Are you in a blood thinners or anything?
No, but I am prescribed stuff to make me clot better, if that makes sense.
All right, so now she's talking about why she takes particular medication. It sounds like she says she bruises very easily. She also bleeds very easily. It sounds like hemophilia, which is a blood disorder, which some people do have, which does cause their blood not to clot. But again, she's describing this with great detail. I'm not detecting that she's slurring her words in any way, shape, or form. I do think she's actually doing very well. Again, relative to her balance, she's still not really doing anything bad there. So let's just see, it seems like she has this particular disorder. It may be something that can be used at trial. I don't know that much about it. It's something we would research as lawyers before trial to see if the medical records could be used in her defense. But, so far, it sounds like the officer is actually running through and doing a very thorough job to try to assess if there's a medical condition that might either mimic intoxication or prevent her from effectively doing these tests.
Okay. All right. Other than that, any other kind of physical defects or anything I need to know about?
Adderall.
You're on Adderall. When's the last time you took Adderall?
4 or 5 p.m. today, 15 milligrams.
15 milligrams? Okay, so besides the Adderall and the other drug that you told me about, the other prescriptions, is there anything else that you're taking?
Red Bull, that's it.
Red Bull. Okay, I understand that.
Red Bull.
Do you have any physical defects? Back, legs, arms, knees, ankles, anything that would prevent or inhibit your completion of the exercises?
No.
So he's done a very good job here of describing all the things, the medications, any medical conditions that she might have that would prevent her from doing this, as I was talking about.
No, okay, very good. All right, here's what I want you to do. Put your feet together, put your arms down your side, heels to heels, toes to toes. Okay, can you see the tip of my pen right here? What I want you to do is follow the tip of my pen with your eyes only. Don't.
I'm going to stop right there for a second and talk about this particular test. This test they call a horizontal gaze nystagmus test. Essentially, he's going to run his finger, asking her to move her eyes, watching his finger to see where her eyes jerk as he follows her finger. That is one of the 3 standard field sobriety tests that pretty much all officers throughout the country are taught. I will say for Massachusetts purposes, we almost ignore it simply because it's not admissible here. It does require expert testimony in order to bring it into evidence. So at least for our purposes here in Massachusetts, it's not admissible. So it's one of those tests that's, it's basically a throwaway. We don't care about the test just because even though the cops keep doing it, they'll never get to talk about it in court, at least under the current state of law here in Massachusetts. Now, that might be different in other states. In Florida, I'm sure they probably do allow it. Many states do for certain purposes. Sometimes they limit it, sometimes they don't. But in any event, that's what he's doing currently on here.
Hey, do you understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, one thing I'm going to note here again, relative, she's got great balance. She's also following instructions perfectly. Someone who's under the influence of alcohol might not have the ability to follow instructions. She's done everything that he's asked in great detail. Listened to his questions, answered his questions appropriately. So far, I'm feeling pretty good about this for Olivia.
Don't anticipate where it's going to go. Just follow your eyes. You gotta follow your eyes, okay?
And I'm going to note here, he's saying, you need to follow through your eyes. Don't, anticipate what's going to go. I don't know if anyone's ever tried something like this before, or if you haven't been through this situation before, but I have a very hard time when the doctor does stuff like this with me to not turning my head when the person's saying just move your eyes. It's almost instinct with me. I just have such a hard time doing it. I would be turning my head here. I would, be doing exactly what Olivia is doing in this circumstance. Luckily in Massachusetts, I'll never have to deal with this with a cop on the witness stand, but I don't think it's that easy a thing to do, to not turn your head and follow just with your eyes. I'm just honestly speaking here, so.
Don't move your head. Just your eyes.
See? I am going to note, though, again right here, look at her balance. She's moving her eyes mostly, so occasionally her head, it seems like. She's not, even with her head cocked back a little bit like this, she's not swaying or anything. Her balance is outstanding. So I'm not, so far so good for Olivia on a lot of these things.
Don't move your head. To be fair, take your hands, go like this, make like a cup like it, put them around your chin like this. There you go. Okay, now and put your hands against your. There you go. Okay.
And now the officer's even sort of taken her center of balance away by having her lift her hands up. Many people keep their hands at a certain position to help, balance them in normal, everyday situations. And he's essentially taking that away by changing the position of her hands so that she doesn't move her head. But again, the balance is still outstanding.
Delta 20, clear to 12.
Go.
Olivia, DL not valid. Restrictions corrective listed. Not valid for failure to pay. Traffic fine, -29. She does have CH out of Florida with officer safety for battery. She is a current student.
Okay, we're
Correct.
And we do have
Everything she's saying is right.
all right.
a few prior contacts.
All right, so that seems to be her prior involvement with the law. for battery. So battery, if you don't know, is essentially hitting somebody. So you might hear it called assault and battery, right? Assault is actually a separate crime where you many times you either attempt to hit someone or try and put them in fear they might get hit. Battery is actually where you connect, right? You actually push or hit or touch someone in a way that's non-consensual. That's a form of battery. So and she's listening to what the person's saying while she's doing the test, and able to say, yep, that's all correct. That's me. So again, I'm feeling pretty good about any sort of a DUI here for Olivia, and then we'll see what happens, what the officer actually does. But so far so good for Olivia.
You guys want to try this one?
All right. We're gonna step right over there to the clubhouse right there, okay? Keep walking. We're just gonna go right in those parking spaces right there.
All right, I'm going to stop there again. I hate to beat this dead horse, but she's walking fine. Like, there's no issues here. She's not holding on to anything for balance like the car. She's following instructions. She's not swaying or swerving while she's walking. She's doing everything that's asked of her. So far, again, it's looking pretty good.
All right. See this white line that's right in front of us?
Yes.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to step right in that white line for me. Okay? Perfect, just like that.
All right, so I'm going to stop her right there for a second. So the officer is doing one of the other standard field sobriety tests. There are essentially 3 of them. He's already done the first one, which is horizontal gaze nystagmus, or HGN for short. Now he's going to have her do something called the 9-step walk and turn. And there's several steps to this, so we'll see if he gets them right. But that's essentially what he's doing. He's actually done something correct already. It appears that he is, brought her to a much flatter area, and he's actually going to use a line for this, because it's a 9-step walk and turn, sort of walk the line. And there are some police officers who don't take the time to even bother to find the line, and they end up saying, well, just use an imaginary line, which we have a lot of fun with in court, for the person to, guess where the imaginary line is going and things like that. But he seems to be doing this part correct so far. Has brought it to a flat and level surface. It would be unfair to have these done on a hill of some kind, or a place where like the pavement's all cracked and destroyed. He also appears to be using a line. But to Olivia's credit, she's walking over there with no issues walking, no swaying, no loss of balance or anything like that.
Comfortable doing this in your shoes, or do you need to take your samples off? I'm fine. Okay, if you want to kind of...
Also note the officer did something very good there. He's given her the opportunity to decide how she wants to perform this test and which footwear. Many times, particularly females, might be wearing footwear that's inappropriate for this type of test, like high heels. I'm not so sure how high those sandals are, but they might be slippery. Typical things like slides and things like that might be slippery and might not be the best footwear to do something like this in. So he's given the opportunity to do it in the manner and which she's most comfortable, which is something he's supposed to do and take into account.
Your dress a little bit. I don't want you to trip over it. Okay, here's what I want you to do. See how this line is flat, level, free to breathe, and well lit?
This guy's basically reciting the manual right now. He's doing it correctly.
Yes.
Okay. What I want you to do is put your left foot on the line. Put your right foot in front of your left, heels touching your toes. Heels touching your toes, arms down by your side. And don't move from that position until I tell you to. Do you understand? Do you understand? Okay. What I tell...
All right. So far, he's definitely following all the manuals and instructions for this type of test. He's doing a good job of putting her into what I like to refer as the balance beam position, where your hands are down by your sides. One foot's in front of the other on the line, just like you might be on a balance beam, except on a balance beam, normally your hands are out to the side like this. No, she's got them down by her sides, which also makes it difficult to balance. But again, to her credit, she's following the instructions. One of the cues the officer is looking for is she following his instructions? And she is to the letter. He's putting her into the position as he's supposed to and telling her everything he's supposed to do. And he's checking with her, do you understand? Let's see what happens next.
So you're going to take a series of 9 steps walking down the line. You're going to touch heel to toe on every step. You're going to look down at your feet. You're going to count each step out loud. You're going to leave your arms to your side. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay.
And one of the things they're looking for here as he's giving the instructions, really two things. First, can she maintain that position? And she seems to be maintaining that position fine while listening to the instructions. She's also listening to the instructions and not just starting the test as he's talking, because one of the other cues to this test is, does a person start too soon? Which, basically you're not supposed to start until you're told to do so. So she's doing great here as well.
After the 9th step, you're going to turn around, and here's how you're going to do that. You're going to leave your front foot.
All right, there's one issue that she's had so far. She did break her feet. That's going to end up in the report, that she didn't maintain that position the entire time while he's giving the instructions. Just a little break of the feet there. But I would suggest that most people, sober or intoxicated, would have a hard time maintaining that position for any period of time, because it's difficult. Like I said, it's almost like you're on a balance beam. But that's going to be, I guarantee, noted in his report in some way.
Heels and toes got to touch. Okay.
Now, I'm going to stop right there again. I know I'm stopping a lot right now, but he says heel to toe has to touch, and that's actually not correct, okay? You are allowed, they want you to touch heel to toe for the most part, or at least come close to touching heel to toe, but the manual actually allows for your between a half an inch distance between your heel and your toe. So it's not considered a negative cue against you or a negative mark against you if your heel to toe doesn't exactly touch. So he's actually not exactly instructing her correctly here. It's easier to say it that way to her, but it's not 100% correct, because the person's allowed latitude of 1/2 inch between the heel and the toe on the 9-step walk and turn.
You're going to turn around. Here's how you can do that. You're going to leave your front foot on the line. Your back foot's going to come off the... What's that?
Pivot.
No. Okay. Your front foot's going to stay on the line. Your back foot's going to come off the line. Take a series of small steps and return down the line in the same manner. 9 heel-to-toe steps. Look down at your feet. Count each step out loud and leave your arms to your side. Once you begin walking...
I'm going to stop right there. So he's describing this turn. And this turn, I've never seen it done correctly in any police report by anybody, mostly because it's confusing. And she actually asked an intelligent question about the turn, about pivoting. And they don't want you to pivot. They want you to leave the foot on the line, take a series of small steps around it. It's extremely difficult to do. It's even more difficult to understand in this circumstance. She's hearing this for the first time and being told to do a number of things all at once. And for the person to remember all of that and do it correctly on the first try, if you've never been through this before, it's incredibly difficult. So I think all in all, I think she's doing very well.
Do not stop until you've completed everything. Do you understand?
Correct.
I'm going to demonstrate for you. Stay just like that for me, okay? Can you see my feet?
Yes.
A little like this. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 9. On that 9th step, front foot stays on the line. Back foot comes off the line. Series of small steps. And return down the line in the same manner. 1.
And so he's demonstrating. That's also part of what he's required to do. Tell her the instructions, then show her through a demonstration. And he's actually doing this all correctly. And in the manual, they don't do the full 9 steps. They just take 3. And they usually say, well, I'm taking 3, you're going to take 9. And quite frankly, that can confuse people. But she's listening to the instructions. She hasn't begun yet. So she's also doing well. He's following the manual. It sounds like he's not reading from it, but he knows his stuff pretty well. He's doing a good job of describing it to Olivia.
2, 3, all the way to 9. Do you understand all those instructions?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Do you need me to repeat anything for you?
You mind? I think
Okay, you may begin.
Can you run her out of that vehicle?
Miss.
2,
Miss.
3, 4,
Miss.
5, 6,
Miss.
7,
Arms.
8,
Miss.
9.
So he's noting the things that he thinks she's doing wrong there. Her arms came up from her sides. You can see it right here in this particular view. He's saying arms and miss. So he's saying miss means that she missed heel to toe. It's hard to tell from the body cam that she missed it by very much. It doesn't seem like it. She's staying on the line. That's one thing that does seem apparent. You can't see the line exactly, but she's not stepping off the line. She's not losing balance as she's walking, which is some of the things that people do when they're intoxicated. She's actually doing quite well here on these things. And I'm going to say something here. He's saying arms. He's making notes for himself in his body cam so he can go back and write his report later and make sure he's noting the cues that he thinks she's missed during this. Now, look at her arms in the camera right now. It's interesting because let me go back to, actually, no, let's leave it right here. You are also allowed not to have your arms plastered to your sides, right? You don't have to have your arms, stuck to your sides like, like this, right? You are allowed some latitude there when it comes to your arms, and 6 inches from the side is actually permissible. And I say she's pretty close to that. I don't think she ever came out too far from it while making the steps. She also counted out the proper number of steps, at least going down. Now she's about to start her turn. Let's see how she does here.
Pivot.
Yep. So there he mentions pivot. So he's making mental notes. He's making recorded notes in his body cam to put in his report later and to help him later on to prepare for court or whatnot. She didn't do the turn correctly, but like I said before, nobody does the turn correctly. I think in 25 years, I've never seen, or maybe once seen, someone know in a police report that the person did the turn correctly, but she did a lot of other things correctly. She counted out the right number of steps. She stayed in the line. She didn't lose her balance. He's mentioning the arms. I don't think they're out, quite frankly, that bad. And even though maybe she wasn't touching exactly heel to toe, it doesn't look like she's that far off either.
Miss. Off to the...
And there she goes, the first stumble of the night for Olivia. Now her arms are up, and she did step off the line. He's noting every time she misses a step, basically he's saying she didn't hit heel to toe in each and every step. She's counting out loud as instructed. And so that also, the counting out loud and the doing, at least of what she's been asked to do in the order she's been asked to do it, goes to her mental clarity, which is part of the necessary task for driving. So they think so far, this isn't perfect. Almost nobody does perfectly on these tests, but I don't think she's doing so bad. She is stepping off the line here, which is her first sort of balance stumble of any kind.
Left with her right. Miss.
She counted out the correct number of steps and stopped where she's supposed to stop, arms back at her side. So that's all pretty good.
Arms. Okay, here's the next thing I want you to do. Face me. Feet together, arms down your side, heels to heels, toes to toes. In a moment, what you're going to do is you're going to raise one leg, either leg, approximately 6 inches.
And this is the third of the typical field sobriety tests, and they refer to this as a one leg stand. So he's putting her into a particular position. Like before, he wants to see if she can maintain that position, not sway, hop, or sway or hop, maintain balance while doing that. He's also going to give her further instructions as to what he expects her to do. But so far, she's listening to the instructions. She's doing what's expected of her. And I'm pretty happy with her performance here. I think in court, this is a lot that can be done with this. And I think Olivia is doing, quite frankly, quite well on this particular, on these particular tests.
The ground with your foot pointed out, so it's parallel to the ground. While holding that position, you're going to count out loud in the following manner: 1001, 1002, 1003, and so on until I tell you to stop. Eyes on your elevated foot, arms to your side. If you happen to put your foot down for any reason, pick it back up and keep counting where you left off. Do you understand those instructions?
I will say this: he nailed the instructions. He got everything really good. But it is difficult, putting your foot out, pointing the toes, keeping it parallel to the ground, 6 inches off the ground. He's just telling her, she's hearing this for the first time ever and being expected to do this. She's listening. To her credit, she's maintaining the position. She's listening to the instructions. She's not starting before being instructed to do so. And like I said, and more importantly, and just as importantly, I'd say, her voice, I don't hear any detection that she is slurring her speech or anything at all. Her balance is actually very good as well. So let's see how she does here.
Need me to repeat anything for you? Okay. You can go ahead and begin.
1001.
Look down at your foot. Look down at your foot.
1006.
She did make a little misstep here. She's looking straight ahead as opposed to looking down at her foot. But again, doing all those things, staying in that position, lifting the foot, pointing the toe, looking down at the foot while you're doing this, counting. If all she did wrong was not look at her foot for a couple of seconds and then did correct that, now she's also balancing. She's up to like 6 or 7 right now. I'm feeling pretty good about this from her perspective.
1008, 1009, 1010, 1011.
All right, she put it down. But she also did pick it right back up again. She got pretty good. She got pretty high. I'm again not feeling too bad about this for her. She's doing quite well on these tests. It's hard to do this to 30. Quite frankly, most people can't balance that well sober.
2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019,
10 and 19.
100.
Gets to 10, goes to 19. She's doing great. I'm not sure if he's gone too long with this. The test is supposed to end after 30 seconds, regardless of what number she gets up to. It seems like she's doing what's instructed. She has to put her foot down. She picks it back up, but she's getting to some pretty high numbers prior to needing to put this thing down. And she's otherwise following these instructions very well. So this is looking pretty good.
121, 122.
Stop.
123.
Okay. I got one more thing I want you to do for me, okay? Can you see that tree right there?
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. Face the tree. Spread your feet. Okay, nice and wide. Okay. Can you put your thumbs like this? Wiggle your thumbs. Okay, and then you're going to put like you're skiing. Put it behind your back like that. And I want you to count to 30 for me, okay?
I'm going to stop this right here. This is not a field sobriety test. He's throwing the bracelets on her. He's arresting her. And they always say, I'm going to have you do one more test. Just turn around, put your arms back. It's just easier for him to cuff her. Some police will do this as a means of making it so it's less adversarial, and quite frankly, so they don't know what's coming. If they don't know what's coming, they're not going to fight him or anything like that, or give him a hard time about putting the bracelets on. Then he gains control of the situation quite fast. But I'm also going to say this girl has not given him any trouble whatsoever throughout this encounter. She's not belligerent or overly upset, overly emotional. She's been, quite frankly, acting, I think, as a normal kid would, or even adult would in the same situation. Quite frankly, she's doing quite well. She's acting quite mature and not having the mood swings that a person who's drunk might have. So, I mean, this is just probably something he does every time. I think a lot of cops do something like this in order to, just get the bracelets on and get the person in custody. But, as far as a drunk driving arrest, which I'm sure that's what's going to happen here. I think she's done remarkably well. This is a case that if I would love to take to trial, because this body cam is going to help her a lot as opposed to harm her. Let's get back into it.
Counting to 30.
4, 5,
Counting's new.
7, 8, 9.
And there go the bracelets.
You are under arrest for driving under the influence of a chemical controlled substance.
I'm sorry, what?
You are under arrest for DUI.
No, please don't, please don't. Please, sir, I beg of you. I'm not drunk. I will do a breathalyzer test. I will do anything you guys need to.
Come step with me.
She's done remarkably well in these tests. She's, begging him not to arrest her. She's surprised by it. She's doing everything, that's expected of her. Hey, quite frankly, even if this were a field sobriety test, she's bending at the waist, arms back, clearly out of, her center of gravity is taken away and being handcuffed. And her balance was outstanding throughout still, All right, this is nice because we're actually getting a second angle on the body cam just prior to her arrest when the female officer arrives. And again, look at her position there. Look at Olivia's position there. She's bending over at the waist, standing there perfectly straight, arms back. I'm not feeling too bad about this case. Certainly not from a balance standpoint or a slurred speech standpoint. I think she's doing great.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
All right.
10.
You are under arrest for driving under the influence of a chemical controlled substance.
I'm sorry, what?
You are under arrest.
Please don't.
Okay, come step over here.
U.S. background.
We're going to go to that back car right there.
I've been to jail and I have very bad
Okay.
PTSD from jail.
Okay.
I just want to let you know.
Well, I appreciate letting me know. Okay, so first thing we're going to go is to the DUI center. Yes, sir.
Or you?
I live
Oh,
right here.
Oh, you want? Oh, just do a
I live
jurat.
in
I'll do
building
the.
20.
I'll do the. Are you good with it?
I can take her, yeah, I don't care.
Oh, okay. I'll get you jurat and the stuff. Okay. Oh, okay. That's.
You need to go down there first.
Are you
They
going to
got
take
one.
me home?
They got one.
Please.
No, you're going to go to actually this car.
Please don't take me to the...
Okay.
More likely than not, he's sticking her in the other car. He might have additional patrol duties to do, but I doubt that. He's going to want to follow this back to the station. But he's sticking her with a female officer, which in this circumstance, in this day and age, is not a bad idea to have this young girl with a female officer as opposed to a male officer or riding alone with her. So there's no claim that, it doesn't seem like she would likely do that. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like she's like making up any strange stories and like that. But having a female officer take her is probably a little safer for him in this day and age. But the body cam would also help him to avoid any claims of impropriety if they were to come up as part of the reasons for body cams in the first place.
I will do anything I can.
You want to switch?
Prove to you that I'm not. I don't operate under the influence.
Okay. Well.
I will do anything. I don't drink under the.
Again, I don't detect any slurring in her words. I wish she would say less at this point. As I said before, less is more. But again, I don't think she's hurting herself that much with the things she's saying. There's nothing crazy or off the wall. She's not slurring her speech. Normally in these situations, I would want to lean into somebody and say, shut up. And I really wish she would say a little bit less, but it's not so bad. She's not slurring her words. Quite frankly, she's asking, and as the title suggests, begging not to go to jail for a second time. But again, there's nothing that's so off the wall with what she's saying or how she's acting that I don't think she's actually hurting herself that bad. So while I wish she would speak less, and I wish everyone would speak less in this situation, I don't think she's really hurting herself, quite frankly, in this situation.
I literally, you can breathalyze me right now.
Okay. Well, at the DUI center where you're going to go to, you'll have an opportunity to take a breath test.
I'd be really curious to see how she does in a breath test. Hopefully she actually takes one because from what I'm seeing, I would not think she's above a 0.08 on a breath test. So normally in this, I shouldn't say that because I'm curious to see what she would do with a breath test, but let's be very clear. It's still our policy here. Our advice to everybody is you don't take the breathalyzer test. There are problems with the machines. They do read higher than they can, than they should, I should say, at times. And if she did just recently have that drink, it may enter her bloodstream at just the wrong time when she takes that test, and it might put her above a 0.08. But I would say in this circumstance, I doubt it. But still, the safer course is just not to take that test. Get this body cam, essentially get the police report and body cam video to her lawyer. And I think the lawyer is going to have a good time with this in court if this case had to go to trial.
Okay. So this officer's going to take custody of you?
Just restart real quick. You have anything else on you? No, but I have to pee really bad and I live in this apartment. Okay, just try to feed your heart. Do I have to go all the way to Millennia?
Yes, down that way.
Please no.
Listen, we don't have a choice. You're that's this.
I didn't drink.
And again, this is the reason for the female officer. It's helpful to have one on scene in this case because before they put her in that patrol car, they want to search and make sure she's not bringing any weapons or contraband into the police car or into the police station. It saves a step by having the female officer here who can perform the frisk and search of her without any issues of impropriety of a man doing this to this young girl and actually searching her in this way.
Let me get you a drive.
I'm going to say, relative to what I think about the case, I think, based upon what he claimed she was doing for driving, it seemed like she was swerving a bit, hitting the curb, maybe she missed a stop sign or a stoplight. He had every right to pull her over in the first place, right? That's typical traffic stop. But let's analyze it, and throughout everything, he did a good job going through the steps, right? A drunk driving case is very much about the training and the standardized steps it's supposed to follow in this case. He went through each of the field sobriety tests. It seems like he did them very well. Advised her, of, the instructions, got those correct for the most part. Took her through the field sobriety test. And I think the cop did a pretty good job here, at least as far as the investigation goes. I'm not so sure I agree with his conclusions, though, because I'm looking at this kid, looking at the basic things, right? Did she pull over the side of the road in an appropriate fashion? That car looked perfectly fine to me. She got out of the car, no problem. Actually, even before that, she was able to retrieve the documents that were requested of her. Didn't appear to have any issues other than him seeing that fake ID, and he's going to use that against her, probably a separate charge. But everything else looked great. She sounded good. She didn't seem to be slurring her speech. She wasn't saying off the wall stuff. She got a little upset, but I think most people, not just younger people in that situation, you do the same thing. They're going to get upset because, just got caught with a fake ID. I'm going back to jail because I've been in jail before. She apparently had a prior record for battery and some other stuff. So, in that circumstance, getting upset because she thinks she's going away in cuffs it's a problem, right? She made an admission to drinking, so he's going to take that and run with it, right? She had a vodka. But under the circumstance, I would suggest, that I actually believe her when she said she had only one. She wasn't slurring her speech. Like I said before, her balance seemed to be excellent. Her performance on the field sobriety test, nobody does those things perfectly. I would submit that, there's no such thing as a perfect field sobriety test. Everyone at some point in time makes different mistakes on those, but she did remarkably well, following instructions and doing the test to the best of her ability under some pretty trying circumstances. She's obviously nerved up a bit because of the situation. People in that situation, when dealing with the police, thinking they're getting arrested, the nerves are going, the adrenaline's pumping, they're not necessarily going to be perfect at everything, but I think for the most part, she did remarkably well. While we don't advise that anyone take a breathalyzer test due to just the negative experiences we've seen with them and how they're calibrated and some false positives they give off sometimes. So we want no one, make no mistake, I want no one take the breath test when it's offered, and it is going to cause you to lose your license for a period of time, but that's better for the case and better for the long run. But, relative to, I'd be curious. I don't want her to take a breath test. I don't want anyone to take a breath test, but I'd be curious as to just what came out of that breath test. They didn't show it in this particular video. I don't know if there's a way to follow up and try and find out what happened with the case. But, I'd be curious to show that breath test, if she took the breath test, what that showed. If I'm a betting man, and I am sometimes, I'd suggest it's probably under 0.08. It's probably under the legal limit. And if I'm her lawyer at trial, I think she's got a great shot at trial for this particular case. And this body cam, this goes to the good thing and bad thing about body cam. It can either be really, really good and be really beneficial to be used later on in court, or it can be really, really bad. There are definitely some cases where you see the body cam and you're like, oh my God, why did the person do this? Like, just stop, terrible stuff. But in this case, in Olivia's case, I think she did great. I think, her lawyer will have a fun time with this at trial, and I'm hoping she gets exonerated because I don't expect this is a good DUI arrest. I think she should, in fact, be exonerated. Not the most exciting one, but I think it goes to show two things. One, just what the field sobriety tests are all about for anyone who may have to take those in the future. And quite frankly, also say don't take those. You can refuse those. In Massachusetts, it's actually no penalty for refusing. It's no loss of license and no additional charges. Some states I know do have some problems with license and additional charges, but Massachusetts, they do not. So don't take the field sobriety test here in Mass. But like I said, I think she did great here, and she'll be okay. So if you like the video, please hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, we'll be doing some more of these in the future. If you have any questions and want to speak to us about anything related to your case, whether it be a DUI case or other criminal matter, please feel free to leave a comment below the video, or just easier, give us a call or shoot us an email. Be happy to speak with you about it.